Welcome to Road to Ironman with JG3 Fitness. Hey everybody, this is Jay. Welcome back to the Road to Ironman with JG3 Fitness. We have Lex smashing some CR juices over there. Is that a burrito bowl? Damn, that looks good.
Hungry.
We got Carrie over here. She's not dancing this week. We're sorry.
Okay.
She did dance,
not make the video.
so you might want to subscribe to YouTube if you want to see her little dance party before we went on air. And we got the return of Magic Mike. So today we're going to recap the Glass City weekend. We had Magic Mike did his 5K on Saturday. The kids did a mile run on Saturday. And then four of us, John's not here, did the Glass City half on Sunday in beautiful conditions. So
Not even sarcastically beautiful. Actually beautiful.
I mean, the start was kind of shitty. It was kind of fucking rainy and shitty. But once it started, like the rain stopped and that we actually started the run, it was beautiful the whole time. Until the end when I had made fun of Carrie way too much for winning sunglasses, and then the fucking sun came out and I was like, I want sunglasses so bad.
Yeah, Carrie, I would have taken those sunglasses now, but I was too busy trying not to die.
So what they mean by that
is that Carrie was
I was
right
like,
and
what?
wrong.
Should I grab sunglasses?
This was also
This was at
5.
6 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, 6 in
so
the
the sun
morning.
was not up, and I'm like, should I take my sunglasses? And she literally looked at me like I was the biggest idiot in the world. She was like, "What sun?"
She's not.
I'm like, "It will rise." Like,
Just oh, look over there, it's rising.
so when I mentioned it out there, and Jay was like, "Why would you need?"
I'm like, it's fucking raining. Why do you need sunglasses?
It will get sunny.
I felt dumb when he finally seen me. When Jay finally seen me and he seen me with my umbrella. He's like, "Whose umbrella is this?" It's like there's no rain. I was like, "Well, it was raining earlier."
Yeah, I was like, whose fucking umbrella is this? That was
I
post
asked
race.
Lex on the way up on the turnpike, and we were pretty close to getting off at 75, and I was like, I thought there was not supposed to be any rain, and you were like, no, it's not raining in Toledo. I'm like, we are in Toledo, and it's raining.
I am very directionally challenged. I think I've talked about this, and I
She's like,
had no
it's
idea.
not raining in Toledo. I'm like, we're there.
Can we talk real quick before we get too far sidetracked?
That we beat you there, and you guys were leaving at 5.
No, I was going to talk about Lex's epic Snapchat on fucking Saturday. She got lost in Toledo and couldn't find.
I didn't get that.
So.
No, because I knew you were driving, and I knew Jay wasn't. Yeah, I might have ranted that I was quitting and I was going home because I couldn't find out where to park, and I couldn't find John, and I couldn't find anybody, and all the roads are blocked off, and I couldn't figure anything out. And
She's like, all I want to do is go watch Eric run. And I'm like, who's fucking Eric?
that's my thing.
If you share your location with Apple, it does not take you to the person, FYI.
I did
was like,
share it.
I was like, share your location. She shares it, and I'm like, well, we're on her, but.
The fuck was that?
I think it died.
It couldn't have died. I just put a brand new battery in it.
Apparently, it was a dead
It's
battery.
not blinking.
It's not blinking. It's over.
It doesn't matter. If we're sticking with it on the audio. Oh, the memory card's full. There you go.
Well,
So this one's gonna be a audio only, folks. So anyway, yes, she sent like the most epic rant of, I don't know where the fuck I am, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, I quit, fuck it, I'm going home.
I didn't go.
2 minutes later, she texts me, I found John. Like literally, it was within minutes.
I called John like 3 different times. I was like, okay, where are you now? He's like, I'm in the same spot. Where are you? I was like, I'm by Barnes and Noble. Where is that?
Oh.
I don't know. He goes, what side of campus? You think I know west from east or north or south at this point? I'm at Barnes and Noble. You find me. And then I tried asking someone. I was like, is this the way to the start line? And he's like, no, it's that way. It ended up being the other way, and he was just being a dick because I was obviously very frantic, just trying to find where the start line was.
Yeah.
It was a really
So anyway, let's start with Saturday. Magic Mike
Eric
does his first 5K. We got real, after making fun of Lex, we got tied up because the 5K course was closed, so we couldn't get to where we were parking, so we ended up only catching the finish of his race. But why don't you walk us through how the 5K went? for you.
Dude, I refound a different why, actually.
Oh,
so from
shit.
the last time, yeah. So the last one was, what was it? My why was to not live up to my potential, right? I think when I refound my why as I was actually running, and then I elaborated on it afterwards, it was my why is me. And the reason why is because if I have to invest into myself, not only be better for myself, but others around me.
Yeah.
So like the entire time, and I talked to you about this too, but the entire time I was thinking, like, I knew that at the back of my mind that there'd probably be a point where it's like I'm exhausted, right? Because it was my first time running that entire amount all the way through, and I was trying to go for a specific time, which was to be sub 30, which I ended up doing. I finished in 28 minutes, which was awesome.
Spoiler alert.
Yep. And,
Thanks for that. Just jump right into.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So that was awesome. But so the entire time all I was thinking was make sure that when I felt that coming, that just go ahead and start thinking about something else. It doesn't matter. Fuck that. The I quit portion. So
I think
shout out to you because
I think the
that was
way
what I had.
you worded it to me after the finish, like we talked right after the finish, and you walked over to me and you said, I felt that thing coming on and I shoved that bitch down and just said, I'm not being overtaken with negativity. I'm just going to think about all positive stuff.
Yep.
And it was cool to hear that as a coach because I'm like, yes. Teach me. Even though I tell people that, I get negative sometimes. But it was real cool to hear that because he was so like, it was like he finished and he was on this high and he like lifted you up with him. Like at the finish line, if you would have been there, he was like, oh man, then he gives a shout out to his running buddy. He's like, this dude paced me and it was awesome. But he was like, it was like the first thing he wanted to say is, I think you told me you felt it coming on just before mile 2.
Yeah.
And he was like, I just went, nope, I'm not letting it take over. And I'm just going to think positive the whole way, one more step. And I don't remember all the things that you told me you filled your head with, but it was pretty cool to hear that because you do get a lift when you know the finish is coming.
Yeah.
Like, so you really only have to fight in that last mile, let's talk about. Because it is, John always says that last 0.1 is what gets you. I disagree. It's 12, in our case, 12 to 13 was when I was like, ooh, this sucks. You hit a point when you see the finish.
He was like, and this is where it sucks. And I was like, what's that? He was like, we're at the end. Like, we have like the 2 miles or the 1 mile to go. And this is where it sucks knowing.
And for him, he hit that point, but he was prepared for it. So he wasn't like, he didn't already let it consume him. He knew it was coming and he was combated or ready for it. He was just like, all right, you're not gonna fucking bring me down today. So that was real cool.
Very good.
You looked good because I saw you, I saw you obviously when you started. And then we walked, we were gonna try and find you, and I thought you were in like the whatever gymnasium or something. Mm-hmm. So we were trying to figure out how to get there, and I was like, oh look, runners. So then we like booked it all the way to behind the stadium, and that's where we saw you the second time when you passed I think the halfway mark where you turned around.
Yep.
You looked good, you looked comfortable, you looked relaxed, you had like a smile on your face, you were like, hey Brody, like talking, so I was pretty proud of you, like seeing it.
I think that's the interesting thing, not to jump ahead, but you said he looked good, and that's what's funny to me as a coach, because I knew very early on Lex was not having the best run. Like 3 miles.
I knew it too.
3 miles in, she looked good, she looked fine, but I was like, Lex is not Lex right now. Like, so sometimes you can look good, but ooh, this one's gonna get spicy. Like it wasn't. There was no verbal sign. There was no body language.
Well, it was
just
different with her too, because like usually we're talking and having fun, and it's like you're telling me like, what do you want to talk about? Like, you know what I mean? Like we're gonna kick it, and it wasn't like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it was like you kind of like hung back at one point. It was like at one point, remember it was us, John, you, Jay, me up front, and then you were back, and you asked, and you were like, Lex, how you doing? You're like, I'm fine. I was like, something's up.
But the way she said, I'm fine, it wasn't, I'm fine, it was, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I had to stare at like at someone who I knew was going to be consistent, because like when I was up with you four, I would try to find someone in front of me that to look down, because like seriously the calf thing, like it sounds weird, but it helps me so much. But I couldn't get them to be consistent what I wanted, so I was like, okay, if I just hang right behind them, I can just, they're going to pace me and they're going to get me to the end there. So that was part of it, but the other part was like
I just want to jump ahead because you talked about how good he looked, and it was just, I'd be curious, did you feel that good at the halfway mark? Because you said it kind of crept up around mile 2, so she saw you about 1.5 in. Did you feel good at that point, or were you kind of feeling that that negativity was going to creep on you when it did?
Mile 2 would have been like right after you passed us, because if you lapped right when you passed us, that probably would have been hitting around the 2 mile mark. But you looked relaxed and.
I think like kind of getting back to my why, where I said it's the you have to be your why. At least that's my why, and it's so that way I can be better. You know, I invest in a lot of a lot of time for myself to indulge into a lot of content. So what actually came to mind in those moments where I was thinking back to, like, I just finished David Goggins' book, so I was thinking of things like that. Mm-hmm. And then I watched her video, and we had a conversation on like the mentality and how do you push that back where it starts to creep in your head. So I think when it started to creep in my head and I recognized it because I was prepared, I just focused on the things that I learned. So I was prepared because it's kind of like you always you do your research before you actually do it. So I think that was where my preparation, it wasn't just physical. Like I had to prepare for things mentally too, and that's what kind of helped me.
And I don't think it's just, you think about research, it's not just the training stuff. Like when I tell people I'm researching triathlons or things like that, like I'm reading people's books who've done it before me. So it's not necessarily like the scientific stuff. I kind of get the scientific stuff anyway because I'm like, all right, I kind of understand the kinesiology, the anatomy of what we're doing, and then the actual programming side of things. Right. And I'm like, okay, so I know the stress we're going to put ourselves under. I know kind of how to ramp up, back down, and all that other stuff. But sometimes it's just the mentality of reading someone's book before you and their struggles early on, because that's where we are. That's what's cool, is we're documenting that early on journey. So you read all these books, and I just ordered another one on a person that went from nobody to a triathlete, and you sit there and you go, all right, that's where the research really pays off. It can be a David Goggins telling you to callous your mind and be ready for a fight, and just always have it's almost like, since Avengers is popular now, it's almost like the Hawk. I forget what the one movie was in, but Bruce Banner's talking about, they're like, what's the secret? How'd you learn how to control the Hawk? He goes, the secret is I'm always fucking angry. I always keep that anger right there, but when I need to turn it on, I let myself hawk out. But it's like you're always prepared for that shit storm that could come around the corner. You never let yourself, and that was the roller coaster of emotions in this weekend. It was like, I wish I would have kept the shit right in my head. Like, don't let yourself drift to that happy spot until you finish the fucking race.
Right.
Because hers was so important. It was your blog that you put out there, right? Like, it was, this sucks. Like, this shit sucks.
Yeah.
But you've been here before.
Yeah.
And that's you remember things like that.
Yeah.
I think at 4 miles he said that.
I did. I dropped back. Because like I said, I realized real early on that we were not as in good shape. Like, I knew, I felt like John was going to be, John Pitt was pissing, so he wasn't anywhere near us. Carrie was like doing, who knows what the fuck was in your head. She's in her, like, she's like,
oh my gosh, this is amazing.
She's like, take it all in, high-fiving people. And she probably had very similar emotions to what I did. There was a lot of up and down in that run. But I realized real early on that Lex wasn't herself, and I dropped back, and I reminded her of a 10-mile training run that me, her, and John did. It was just the three of us, and we were on the trail, and like half a mile in, she was stretching out a calf cramp. And I was like, remember that fucking run when you said you couldn't do it? And we got faster at the end, and you maintained not only a 9-minute mile, you were right, you couldn't do that. We went 8:55 the rest of the way. And I tried to remind her of that, to just kind of keep her in it, like say, all right, because you have to build that positivity, because I wasn't sure when we were going to hit that, but I'm sure she noticed how many times I looked back and was like, is Lex still there? Because if we let her drop too far off, we're fucked, because we're not going to get her back on pace. So I think I told you at one point I would run up, kind of pace everybody back up, and then I'd kind of drop back, and then I'd run up and drop back and whatnot. But before we get into that, too much of that, anything you want to touch on anything else you want to talk about with your 5K? Other than for me, it was cool as shit to have the whole group there.
Oh yeah,
really cool.
Like John was there. Like, take out Kyle and Jason because they weren't doing the Glass City, so I didn't expect them to go. But everybody that was signed up for the Glass City was there watching him at the finish line. And then it was even cooler for me after you finished. like you walked over, signed your daughter up for the kids run, and we had all of
She did so
our
well.
kids doing
She
it.
just,
So
you know,
It wasn't
was
even
skipping.
just.
It was amazing.
Yeah, I don't want to get on the kids too, but it wasn't just us being there, us supporting. How cool was it that the whole like gym family was supporting through, because we have our app or like through the Facebook Messenger, and everybody. I mean, it's like, where's he at and how's he doing? And I mean, all weekend everybody was so into it, and like Corey was posting like our times, like I was posting like pictures and videos of your race, and you could just see like everybody was checking in, like their little headshots were posting right away that they checked it, like. So
Well,
I think
and
that was really cool.
I think it goes back to a couple episodes ago where we said
Yeah.
everybody's doing this with us.
Yeah.
Like you feel that on the course. Like I don't even know how to put it into words, but when you get down, you feel that energy from other people. Like even though they're not there, you feel like they're picking you up.
I
But
thought about that on mine. I'm like, I know that they're into it, and I know that they're checking. Like
Yep.
Corey posted, or they're posting online. Like,
So
I
many
got you
people
guys
said-
logged. Like,
yeah.
I'm tracking you. So it's like, I know that they're doing it, so I have to keep going. And
yeah, no. So that was my coolest part for Eric's run. Do you have anything else before we move on to the kid stuff?
Yeah. So one of the things was I talked to Carrie yesterday, and I had a sidebar conversation with her, and it goes for everybody. Is just thank you, and the reason why is because you guys helped me get to that point. I've never considered myself a runner. I've never done any type of running events outside of like wrestling or like doing mixed martial arts and training for that like short interval stuff. So that was a milestone for me, even though it was as simple as like doing a 5K. I still worked really hard for that.
Yeah, I don't
Right.
think you should downplay
Yes.
as simple as a 5K. Yes, it was a 5K, and compared to others, that might be simple, but it was still a milestone for you.
Right.
So it doesn't matter what that milestone is. You hit a milestone. That's what's fucking cool.
Yeah, and I worked extremely hard for that. So I think the whole reason why you guys do this, which is if even if it helps one person along the journey, is that when you set a goal. And for me, I told you guys that this is what I was going to do. And of course, like when you're along the way, you're like, man, I don't know if I'm going to get there. There's like, you have some bad days and you're like, man, I feel like I'm so far off. What if I fail? And you have all these things that go through your head. But then, I felt like I owed it to myself. But then since I told you guys that this is what I was going to do, and I told my friends, my family, like there's no way that I could not do it.
Yeah.
So it was just that simple thing. So I think, just to kind of finish on my piece, is that it was awesome. It was a great feeling. Being able to run with my daughter, her first run, which was a quarter mile, was awesome. Having you guys there to support was amazing. I haven't felt that good in a long time. To have that feeling, for you guys to go out of your way and show up that day, and then to watch your daughter did amazing on her run. So, I mean, it was awesome. It was a great day.
Awesome.
Like you could I felt like at the end of the day, I was like, today was a good day.
Yeah, I was on such an emotional high going into our run that that was the emotional cookie jar. Like I had so much to pull into for that. But so after Eric finished, we walk over, we killed some time, and then our kids ran. Eric ran with his daughter. They did a quarter mile. That was awesome to see. She was skipping at one point. She went from like I don't even know that she cared to do it to like, all right, this is cool,
Yeah.
And then
She
And
avoided
then-
all the football players. She didn't want to look at them. Like, she was like,
Good.
"Hey, Dad,
Yeah.
no guys."
Yeah,
She went the other way.
Good.
Toledo's football team was running
That
with
is
the kids,
awesome.
so that was it was just a really cool moment.
them on,
And then we hit the mile with our kids. So Brody, Carrie's daughter,
Nope. Brody's my son.
Carrie's son, sorry, my daughter, Brody's right there. My son and daughter ran, and then Lindsay Kramer, Lisa's daughter, ran. And it was fun because for me, the kids were playing, and I was like looking at them, and they were playing hard before they
Tag.
ran. And I'm sitting there looking, and I'm like, man, Skyland's not like, she's not the workout like the running type. She's the lift weight and do shit like that. And I'm like, Trent's walking on his hands and all that shit. I'm like trying to be fine. And wow, the tale of two runs for my kids, because like we're sitting there. First of all, fuck you, Glass City, for telling us the mile was around the track. And then all of a sudden we're lined up around the
Spread
track.
out all of us spread out so we could cheer multiple times.
And the kids go out and back and then around the track. So I was a little upset with that because at least give the parents a heads up on what course you're running a kids run on. But anyway, so we lost them for a while, and I don't even remember who I was standing next to. And all of a sudden, I see a pink shirt coming in. And I'm like, holy fuck, that's Skylar. And I look at my watch. And I'm like, holy fuck, that's Skylar. She's moving.
6.5 minutes.
Yeah. So I estimate at about the mile mark, because they ended up doing 1.2 miles because they fucked up the finish, according to the volunteers that helped set it up. So they were supposed to come in and go straight to the finish line instead of doing the rest of the 400. Yeah. So they cut out about one corner out of a 400. So I estimate it's about 1.2, but she probably had to have run about a 7-minute mile.
Yeah.
Brody had to be about 7:25, because he was not too far behind Scott. But the cool thing for me on those were the biggest smiles on their face. Like they were like, woo, I'm doing it. I'm like, yes. And then my son comes through holding his stomach in fucking tears. And then I got yelled at because Debbie's like, well, why didn't you go run with him? I'm like, the fucking finish line was right there. Life's tough, kid. Keep moving. And she's like, you could have went out. Because the second she went out, he started sprinting. He was fine. He just was uncomfortable. And
it was cool.
Yeah, it was cool to see our kids.
The air was cool, so their lungs, like his lungs, in the beginning, he kept coughing.
Yep.
Like, it's just that cold air in your lungs. Like, it'll get better.
They're little smiles. They're just
they're cheesing it. It was awesome.
It was hilarious.
Yeah, it was so much fun to watch.
I did get video of Lindsay smiling.
Yeah,
she was smiling at one point.
And before it, Jay was like, if anybody runs I think it was just your kids.
Originally I just go, all right, Trent and Skyland, if you guys break 10 minutes, or Jason, it was supposed to be Jason's time, which was currently, he said it's 11:30. I don't think that's accurate, but that's what he said. And I'm like, okay, so I bet him $5 they could do that. Then somehow I moved it to 10 when you threw Brody in there.
I was like, Brody, Jay's giving out money if you break 10-minute mile.
And then eventually I'm just like, fuck it, all the kids get $5. So
they all broke 10.
He fell on the floor once I saw him at the finish line, and he lays down. I'm like, you just ran an 8-minute mile or whatever. And I was like, Jay owes you $5. He pops up and he's like, yeah! And he walks over.
Yeah, our kids.
How was your race, buddy? You want to tell anybody about it?
You gotta come up and talk into the microphone.
Yeah, we're good.
No, he doesn't want to. But anyway, so then we did that, and then I went home and
they got medals.
They did get medals, which was
so
really cool.
Eric, you got to share a medal. You have a medal. Your daughter has a medal, right?
Yep.
You both have the same. You, Jay, you have one. I have one.
And then both my kids have.
Yeah. So we all got the.
I don't have any kids.
Yeah, Lex doesn't have any kids.
You got the ant medal, but I think
right.
that was pretty cool. One of my cool moments is him and I both have a Glass City medal that we can share together. It was something that we did together. You know what I mean?
Here's a fun fact. Again, jumping way ahead. Eric forgot to grab his glass from the 5K. So we're walking through after the half marathon, and he asked because they had the area where the 5Ks were, and they're like, "No, we don't have any more." No, but those were all marathon ones or relay ones. So we're walking through, and Debbie just jumps in line and grabs a fucking glass and goes, "Jay, give this to Eric." I'm like, "Here you go, buddy." So Eric has a half marathon glass.
he's like, it's something to work for. Thank you for letting me know.
I literally handed it to him. I go, "I guess I found a goal for you."
He's like training miles added up.
Yeah. So he's like, "All right, thanks." So then, here's where it got spicy for me. We go home. We went and watched Avengers Endgame with Cassandra and Corey, and I get home and I'm wired from the movie. It's 9 o'clock. I got a 4:30 wake up call because John's like, "We're leaving at 5."
Yep.
Tapping his watch, and I'm like, "Okay, bro, we're leaving at 5." But you get home 9:15, 9:30, and it's fucking Saturday night. You don't want to go to bed.
Right.
Slept absolute dog piss. It was not a fun sleeping night. Then you get in the car, and that's when you start to realize it's not just a run. That's
a thing.
Yeah, that's the thing that I realize. As you get up there, you get caught in traffic. You start seeing everybody piling out of their cars with all their gear on and trying to stay warm and all. And you're like, this isn't like meeting you guys at the gym and going, all right, within 10 minutes of parking, 5 more minutes waiting for Carrie, we actually go for a run. Like, it's like we got there, and then it was an hour later we were running.
We spent that whole time peeing.
Yeah, and then it was like go to the shitter and get the nervous poops out, and every dude's there, so it was like a fucking race on who could poop the quickest. Yeah, it was.
They had one. So
Yeah, it was. We had 2 stalls, and I mean, I've never seen this. There's like a line, and nobody's at the urinal, and people are walking in like, I'm guessing this is the number 2 line, and we're like, you think? So anyway, you finished that.
I'm
and
pretty
then,
sure we all peed like 30 times.
Yeah.
No, I only did.
You were like, oh my gosh, you just peed, you're gonna pee again? And then we go outside and John was like, okay, I'm gonna pee. And you made fun of us and then we're like, we're fine. Let's just pee.
Yeah.
You walk up to somebody and you're like, is this that line? You're like, oh shit. And you're like, yep, that's the problem.
Yeah.
It smelled so bad.
It did. It was horrible.
It smelled
It's
so
like
bad.
a CrossFit competition.
So we head to the start line.
We were almost late.
We were almost late. That's
Because
when
everyone had to shit.
we snapped a quick selfie of everybody before we went. I shot a little quick video of like the magnitude of the run, and that's when it's like, oh shit, I didn't really think about warming up. I didn't think about like
That was our half-mile walk to
I
the
didn't
starting
I mean it
line.
was like, all right, it's time to go, and then you realize, oh, that was the wheels going off, and then the A corral went off, and then it was like, is this us now? Or you know,
At
so
one point, I was like, I thought they said that we could go. Like, why
Yeah.
are we not moving?
Yeah, we're
and you're
like-
like, because there's 3,000 people waiting to go in front of us.
Yeah.
Like,
So for me, the first 3 miles was stressful as fuck because there were so
You were
many
jumping
people.
up on
I was like
the
literally on the curb.
Yeah.
People are busting around. You're just like you're literally jockeying for position. We ran in Matt Theroff. Shout out to him. Finished his first full marathon. That was cool as hell. Smacked his ass. Got real concerned because he turned real sharp at me, and I was like, "Oh fuck, I'm about to get my ass whooped because that's not Matt Theroff." But luckily it was Matt. So that first 3 miles was more just like calm the fuck down and let all the madness get away from you. And I know John right off the bat was like, don't fucking tell me anything. I don't want to know my time. I don't want to know my pace. I want to break 2. I'm like, well, how the fuck do you expect me to get you to break 2 without knowing your time or your pace? And he's like, and this is one of the first time, he didn't really say it, but he just kind of looked at me and he goes, you're watching your pace, right? And it was his way of saying, you're breaking 2 and I'm just going to stay with you. And I'm like, what? Fuck. So
You
then
knew you were going to.
So I'm like sitting here and I'm like, all right, we went like a 9:01 first mile, then it was like 8:58, and then it was like 8:48, and that's when we started like about 3 miles when I was like, all right, we're spreading out, we're going to start seeing more people. And I don't know how. I know I felt that Lex early on was
A hot mess.
struggling at about 4 miles. I personally, for about the first 10K, I was kind of like, all right, we're good to go. Everything's kind of going the way I expected it to. But I had been running somewhere in that 3 to 5 mile range for quite some time, so I was pretty comfortable. About 6 miles in is when I let that doubt start to creep in, and I was like, I've been having way too much fun the first 6 miles, and then it started to, you're like, okay. Then I made the mistake of doing what I tell everybody not to fucking do, and I started thinking about the next 7 miles, right? I was like, oh shit, we got 7 miles to go. Then I'm like, oh shit, we got 7.1 miles to go. It's not even that. And then that's about the time John caught up to us, and he's like, okay, I caught up to you guys, and that's when I kind of picked up the pace and just ran by myself in front of the 3 for a while, and I was just trying to compose myself and just be like, dude, just get your shit together, kind of think about your thoughts, because that's when I realized how much of a wave of emotion I was about to go through on those next 7 miles, because you just saw so many people, and it's hard to describe to people that you got idiots behind you going, we're on pace for a 148
Yeah. Oh,
half,
I
and
wanted
it's
to
like,
hit them so
it's
bad.
like,
It's like, shut the
first
fuck
of all,
up.
you're not, because I'm looking at my watch and we're on pace for like a 157, 158 max.
Yeah.
And then I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I'm like, it's weird because they're 12 mile, or they're 7 miles right there. My 7 mile clicked like 0.2 miles ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going, we're off of what it actually says, my GPS says, and I'm going, all right. So then I kind of just start I think that's when we started kind of having a cool running formation where it was like me and Carrie would jump up and you and John would kind of stay here and then one of us would drop back, and it was like we made sure we were
I want to make it very clear that I was always in the back. The three of them rotated and I stayed in the back the entire time.
That may be, but
You know it was.
yeah. So we kind of did that, and that's when I think me and you had that conversation where I dropped back and was running with you for a little bit, and I was like, all right, I need to just, I knew you were struggling, and I find myself personally, I'm not the runner like John is that just hits a pace and just stays there. Like, I'm a get the fuck ahead of your pace, and then that way if shit goes bad, you kind of know how to manage it, so to speak.
Right.
And I'm sitting there going, oh shit, so that first 6 miles was real easy, but that pace became my pace.
Yeah.
So now I'm tired, and maintaining that pace is hard.
Yeah.
And I have not been running the 10, 11, 12 mile runs that you normally do leading up to these things. I hadn't run more than 3 to 5 miles in fucking 6 weeks. And I'm like, that's when I let the first negative thought creep in that was, you're not ready for this. And then I start fucking, it's like,
I was all over
it's like the fucking, the angel and demon
All
on your
over
head.
you.
I'm like, fuck this shit, fuck that, you know. And it was like, okay, I'm gonna drop back, you know. And then my hope was when I dropped back, like John would pick it up and he would pace us for a little bit. He held true to his word. He never looked at his fucking watch. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, I looked down and we'd be at like 9:06 mile or 9:04, and I'm like, that's too fucking close. So I'd pick it back up and I'm like, all right, here we go. And the weird thing is, the faster I ran, the better I felt. But I felt like the faster I ran, like I was going to lose the group. So I was like, all right, I got to back down. Go. So it was like this internal struggle of, I want to go fast, I want to go slow, I want to go fast, I want to go slow. And I was actually on the brink of saying, fuck it, I'm walking for a little bit, about the 9 mile mark. And I don't remember which one of you I was talking to. It might have even been John. And I was just like,
John and I look a lot alike.
yeah, you do.
Same height.
But I think that's how bad I was in mentally, is I don't even remember who I was talking to. I was just like, I said something like, I don't know, man, this is the longest I've ever run straight. Like, I just don't.
not me.
I just
It
don't.
wasn't me.
I'm like, I don't run like this. Like,
Probably the random guy in the
Yeah,
yellow that
yeah.
wanted John.
yeah. But right then, it was right around then that this little kid in a relay goes flying past, and this dude out of the blue, like, I don't know what he said. You gotta tell that story when the
So
kid.
it's like, dude behind us, it was you and I, and then we went through this housing development, and there was a guy and a girl behind us, and this little kid flies by us, and instantly, this guy behind us was like, fuck you, kid. I was like,
I did not hear that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
no. I mean, and it wasn't like a quiet. It was like, "Fuck you,
yeah,
kid,"
it was
and we're
really,
like,
really loud, and he just kept going, and I was like, oh, shit. And so then the girl was with him, just starts laughing, and the guy was like, I probably should not have said that out loud. Like, it was total just like no filter, you know?
Yeah.
And I laughed, and the girl next to him was like, you know what? No, you're fine. You know what? No.
But-
so I'm laughing. I look over at Jay, and I'm like, did you just hear him? And he was like, no.
I heard like the loudness. I heard him scream. I just didn't hear what he said.
So then I told him, and Jay was like, I was like, I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
But okay.
Yeah.
So then we kept running, and this lady was like, you guys are doing great. We got Snicker bars for you at the end. And I'm like, ew. So we're running down, and then we turn the corner, and this chick's out there with like Tim Hortons, like Tidbit or whatever, those freaking donuts.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
like, donuts for
Donuts,
energy.
donuts.
And I was like,
And I'm
shut
like,
the fuck up. That's not
Ew!
what I want right
Like,
now.
what are people doing eating all of this? This is so disgusting.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I
It was
love
So-
those things, but not
yeah.
when I'm running.
Not in the middle
So it
of
was
that.
around that time that I kind of started pulling it back together, and then I was like, all right, you had your moment. Fucking pull this shit together. It's almost only a 5K left.
Almost.
I
And,
said that.
and I was
We're
like,
still like,
yeah. But I'm like,
we
so
actually
I,
not speak anymore
so I-
today.
I got out my little cliff block, and I was like, all right, I'm going to take my 10-mile cliff block. I'm going to drop back and give Lex hers, and I'm going to kind of see where she's at. And that's when I realized I didn't. I was no longer allowed to be in fucking hell because I was like, we might be in fucking way. So I popped.
We might be in an emergency
yeah.
room.
So I popped the gel and I look at Lex and Lex, you can share whatever you want to share about this, but.
So first of all, I'd like to say that hell started at mile 4.
Yeah.
For me, which is not good, and it was like at mile 6 that I started already repeating plus one. Like I literally was behind them. It was the 3 of them in front. I was dropping back, and I was out loud, like whispering to myself, +1, being like for a solid mile straight.
Mm-hmm.
And then it got to mile 10, and I was like, there are just no more +1s. Like we're gonna we're done. And so when Jay gave me the shot that I wish was alcohol, but was supposed to be like some energy.
It's supposed to be caffeine and fuel, basically.
He said, "Are you okay?" And I just said no. And I have panic attacks a lot, and they've just recently happened like while I've been exercising. So I've only had one that's completely like literally stopped me to the point where I had to walk. And at mile 8 is when I started looking at my watch, which was dumb. And I knew we were starting to cut it close. So I started to panic even more. Like, oh shit, I still have a 5K I have to do, and I can't breathe. Yes, I said can in my head. And so get over it. And just straight up hyperventilating.
And when she says hyperventilating, like I was in a dark spot, and when she started hyperventilating, like I snapped out of it and went, oh fuck, where's the medical tent? Like it wasn't like a minor hyperventilating. It was like she couldn't. It literally sounded just like that.
A full mile.
Yeah, and I was like, oh shit. And I tried getting her to talk to me. I was like, all right. What's Lex really into? I'm like, well, she wears that fucking Harry Potter sweatshirt every fucking time I see her. Let's talk Harry Potter. So I'm like, I know Harry Potter, but I don't know have memorized which book is which. So I'm like, which Harry Potter movie is your favorite? No bullshit. It sounded like this. And then she put up 3 fingers, and I was like, oh fuck.
I don't remember.
And I'm like, son of a bitch. And I'm like, close your eyes and just breathe. Just take one more step and just breathe. And this is the weirdest thing. Like, she's hyperventilating. I'm telling her to just breathe. And this guy fucking slaps me on the back, and he's like, you're helping me too, bro. And I almost turned to him and said, fuck off, dude. But at that moment, she starts chuckling like that. And I'm like, and that's when, to me, the hyperventilating stopped.
Oh, it did? Because I thought it kept going.
At that moment, you kind of laughed and your breathing kind of normalized. And that's when I'm like, wow, Lex is fucking tough, because I would have stopped.
I do remember you saying, well, first John looked at me and said, just stay on my ass or something.
Yeah, well.
And I just looked at him like, fuck off, John. Yeah.
No, what I don't think you picked up on is John said, just stay on my calves. And he turned and looked at me, and I went like this, just go. Let me have a minute, because he was trying to encourage you to pick it up, and I picked up on the fact that you were hyperventilating. I'm like, she needs a fucking minute. So I'm like, just go. So I backed this down to about a 9:45 pace, and I'm like, let's let her catch her fucking breath.
It was slow, and I knew that, but finally it started to breathe at some point. I don't know when. I remember you telling me or asking me if I wanted to stop, and I said no.
And it didn't go like that either. It was like, do you want to stop? No! I'm like, all right, fuck it. I guess we're gonna keep running. I mean,
yeah.
And that's when you said I disappeared, because I had to start laughing, because the dude next to me is like, and I'm like, you said I'm helping you. You fucking deal with this, because she was like, the devil came out of her like, no.
I was trying to breathe. It was hard.
Yeah.
But I went back to that day where I stopped running, and I didn't run the amount we were supposed to at the quarry that day, and I was like, no, I'm not doing that again. So I just went for it and just kept running.
It was crazy cool to watch someone, because at that point, and I've shared this with Lex, so it's not really going to be a big surprise for her, but at that point, I basically said to myself, 2 hours is out. I just got to make sure she safely finishes that, because we're in a dangerous spot right here. She's unable to put together a coherent, even response to anything. The devil comes out when I ask her a simple yes/no question. We're in a whole lot of hell right now. So I was like, if she doesn't pull it together, 2 miles or under 2 hours is out. I'm just gonna make sure she safely finishes. And like I said, at some point, I'm just like making peace with that, and I'm trying to talk to her, and it was like no bullshit. I wish someone was standing there with me. It was like she was back to normal, and I was like, "Are you okay?" And it was like I looked down, and we're back on a 9-minute mile. The 10th to 11th mile was our slowest one. I think it beeped at like 9:17 on mine. I think it was 9:20 on yours. And I was like, okay, we're not that far off. And then 11 to 12, we turned a corner. And this is when I was fucking pissed because she thought I was talking to her. You turn the corner and it was straight uphill. And you know very well where I'm talking about because you just looked at it and I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. And I heard someone in front of me go, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Like it was every single runner's like, are you fucking serious right now? We gotta run up this?
Yeah.
So I literally said to myself, head down, just breathe, one step at a time. And she goes, okay. And I'm like, whatever, bitch, you're fine now. Like I'm talking to myself. And like 3 people are like, good idea. And I'm like, I'm not talking to any of you people.
Like we talk about that 45-degree angle when you look down. I'm pretty sure my head was like
You were-
looking, like my head was
You're like looking at your
completely-
toes.
It was. They had people on whatever that news channel was or whatever that was there that they were interviewing, and these people were like, it was a lot hillier than I thought it was going to be. I'm pretty sure they changed the course this year.
Yeah.
Like,
John said it was the same course as he ran
Oh,
last
was
year.
it?
huh,
But,
there were a lot of people.
But I understand 2 years ago was different. And it was
Oh,
it was a
okay.
lot flatter course. But this year that's one of the hilliest runs I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
That was up, down, up, down. So we hit this hill, and
I got more nervous on the down because it was like
Yeah.
my legs hurt.
Yeah.
I would be like
yeah.
stiff legged.
I'll get to the down in a minute, but we're going up, and this is what's weird for me is I was in a dark spot, and I must just enjoy pain because we see the hill, and I'm like, fuck yeah, all these pussies are worried about this hill. I pep talk myself at the bottom, and I'm like, just look down and go. And I swear that's when I picked it up, and I was like, yeah, got this. Like we forced ourselves to run these hills so many times that I almost found this peace that it's just a hill. Get to the top of the hill, and it's going to be easy the rest of the way. And that's when I started.
Then we saw Eric.
And I might have had a whole conversation in my head that, you know, if Eric can run a 5K, yeah, Eric didn't run 10 miles before this shit, you know. So I had a little moment with myself, and then I started just playing a game with Lex where you know, she hadn't like started talking yet.
No, I don't think I talked the rest of the
Yeah,
time.
you did, because
Did I?
I'm going to tell you this right here. I went, oh shit, and you went, what's wrong? And I'm like, my shin's fucked up. And you're like, it's all right, we're almost done. She started pep talking me, and I started laughing because I'm like, got her, we're good. And that right at that moment's when you're like, I don't think we're gonna make it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. So we reached the top of the hill, and we went to turn slightly to the left, and that's when the coolest moment to me was you kind of you started to see the stadium in the background, and the only time I felt it the entire race, a gust of wind hits. And both of us at the same time went, Joe just told us we gotta fucking go. Before I could turn to tell her, did you feel that? Lex was fucking gone.
Yeah.
Dead sprint. And I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. She just went from panic attack to dead sprint. Now I gotta catch her. And but that was cool for me because we finished about where the kids were running their mile. So I had a moment where I was trying to catch Lex, where I was kind of going, this is where Trenton and Skyland were running, and I was so proud of them. So I kind of went back to that emotional high. And it was like dead sprint. And then I'm like, I don't know where the finish line is once we get into the stadium. So if we have to cross the football field, we're fucked.
Yeah.
So
I think I almost barreled some guy over.
You
so
did.
I was like,
You
please
did.
fucking move, because I want to be done.
yeah. So
I have a picture of me finishing before Jay, so
yeah, that's what she's gonna. There's where she's gonna go.
I'm gonna buy one.
Poster size.
But
It's
yeah,
gonna go right up there.
yeah, she's gonna put it on the wall over here. But anyway, so we actually get moving. We cross the finish line. I thought Lex was with it at that point. I stopped my watch. I realized we'd gone 1:59:30 or something like that, but it was sub 2. And I went to look at her and say, "You did it." And she already had tears welling up, and I don't think she said anything. And we had a pretty cool moment there where it was like, we battled for the last 3 miles. Well, she battled a lot longer the
For
last
like
3
9
miles,
miles.
but that's the definition of mental toughness. Like, so many people think mental toughness is the people that just go out and make it look easy and do it. No, there are a lot of fucking ups and downs. It's having those ups and downs and having the balls to keep fucking moving. And when you want to quit, when you're having a panic attack, when even I'm sitting here doubting if Lex has the ability to keep fucking moving, she kept moving. Like, that to me was one of the coolest things I've ever experienced. And I told her, I think I texted her once I fucking finally got my shit together and started eating. I was like, that was fucking badass. Like, I don't think you realize how badass what you just did was.
It wasn't until the next day, because I told Jay thank you at the end, and like, because I was like, yeah, Jay got me to the finish line, like, because you guys, John and Carrie, were a little ahead. I think you finished like 30 seconds before us. But I was like, and then I like had to think about it and go through my head and was like, wait a minute.
Because when you first told me that, I'm like, what are you thanking me for? You fucking, you did it.
Nobody actually moved my legs for me or carried me, so I must have done that myself. So I had like a huge moment of, like, the first time in a while, like just looking at the pictures and things, that's the happiest and most accomplished I felt like in a really long time. So, and I could genuinely say I was proud of myself for accomplishing. There we go, something. So
yeah, I mean, from the outside looking in, it's easy to sit there and, like, Jason texts me, he goes, you guys made it look easy. I was tracking you and it was just the same splits. I'm like, you should have lived in one of our bodies, because there was no part of that was easy. We might have, the training took over, the mental toughness took over, the sheer will that we were gonna fucking do this is what got us there, because there was no proper amount of training. I got kind of pissed when everybody got a little ahead of schedule and they started running half marathons fucking 6 weeks ago, and I'm like, I'm backing down and I'm playing the long game. I'm worried about the Ironman. And about 8 miles in, I was like, I should have fucking taken this shit more serious, because I've been under the impression this is my biggest takeaway from Glass City. Outside of being proud that we all did that, that ended up being, I shared this with you, I don't think I shared it with anybody else, that ended up being A, the longest nonstop run I've ever done, and B, it ended up being a 14-minute PR. Mind you, I haven't run distance since 2013, but it was a 14-minute PR, so I got a little proud about that. But the biggest takeaway for me was I kept thinking, just get to the run and you're home in the Ironman. And I had a big realization, it's still a fucking half marathon at the end. Yeah. Like, you better be present in what you're doing and not celebrate until you cross that finish line. Because even 9 miles in, when you got 3/4 of the race done, our biggest challenge was miles 10 to 12. Yeah. Our biggest challenge was at the end of that. So even when you thought you were home free, that's when the shit hits you. And the second you let yourself mentally get out of that fight, when you don't let the shit stay right there and you're ready to fucking fight it, that's when stuff hits the fan. And I'm sitting there going, man, I better put this shit in my piggy bank and be ready to pull it out, because I don't want to feel like this again. Now, the difference is we're probably not going to be trying to hold a sub 2 hour pace. I'm gonna walk if I have to, but I had a big realization that I gotta change the way I train. I gotta back down some of the heart rate training that we're doing and make sure my heart's not gonna explode for 2 fucking hours straight. You know, that zone training, some of the other things I've been reading up on, I need to start implementing that over the next 14 weeks to make sure I can back it down when I need to, pick it up when I need to, but have that anaerobic reserve that if I want to pick it up at any given time, I can do that, but don't get ahead of myself. It's not just a run at the end of the swim and bike. Right. It's going to be challenging. Right. So that was my biggest takeaway from it. Outside of so many highs, so many positive things from this weekend, that's my little nugget that I'm chewing on is get smarter. Be prepared mentally. It's not over until it's over.
And I loved watching Carrie through the whole process, to be totally honest. She just looked at me like oh my
she's
God.
like a fucking 6-year-old running. She's like,
just seeing
slap hands.
Just seeing how I love running halves with people when it's their first one, because then I'm reminded of the first time I did one or something like that. Because just seeing you take everything in, we made a joke about it and how it was funny, but just seeing how. I don't know what was going on in your head, but you're just this is so cool. And you kept saying over and over, look how many people are here. Look at all these signs. Look at, high-fiving all these kids. This is such a positive experience. And it was that I had to remind myself of that too. Like sometimes, okay, look at the people because they're being positive. So think about that while, you know, you want to fall down and
Let them pick you up.
yeah.
Other people's positivity naturally increases your serotonin levels and brings you up.
Absolutely.
Like,
So
unless you look at them like, fuck you, you know, let their energy, make eye contact, smile at them,
Yeah.
feel the energy pick up in them.
But yeah, she's just like up there, just consistently going. Like I don't think, from what I saw, which was mostly your butt, you
My high knees.
well, besides your high knees,
I asked her, I'm like, did you see me doing like high knees and stuff?
Yeah.
And she was like, yes. Like my legs seemed to move a little different way.
Yeah, but like just seeing that, like it just seemed like you were very calm.
Yeah,
and
it
I don't,
was.
we
It
don't
was
see
completely-
you doing that. Like when we're here, you're not calm.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm a badass. I need to do muscle ups right now. Like,
Same thing with John though. Like John was just the pillar of consistency.
Like,
Like
you
his
guys are just so,
emotions
like-
didn't change at all.
So like my experience of it, I mean, it was different, but I think I'm thinking when I tried looking back and still like hearing you guys talk now, I think it's different because it was my first one. Like you just said, like I woke up, I felt like crap. I like just a cold and stuff like that, and that's where I mean I talked about it in the last podcast. I think where it's all about your mindset. So I was like, well, I'm going to do this. The weather sucks. I feel like crap. Am I going to go do this miserably, or am I going to trick myself and feel, you know, like that I feel great and have fun with it? So that's kind of how I went with it. Remember, and then my Whoop in the car, like, registered, and it was like, you're at 22% recovered, pretty much like, lay in bed and do nothing today. And I was like, no way, you don't think that I feel like crap. So I was like, we're just going to act like we didn't see that. So we go, we're having fun, we're like blaring music.
Blaring Billy Ray Cyrus.
We're like going there. Oh no, it was Justin Bieber, baby.
Yeah.
I was like, do you think the boys are listening to this right now?
I sent that to Jay, and he said they were not listening to it.
I don't even think we were listening to music. Me and John had a quiet talk most of the ride.
So it was raining. I was worried about it, and we get there, whatever. We walk in, and
We get
I
there
respect
before-
it. I was not worried, like how you said, like you show up. Like for me, it was like showing up to run, you know, here, and that's like how it was in my brain. But we walked to the finish line, I wish. We walked to the starting line, and I know I was like, people watching and making all these stupid comments, whatever. So we get there, drop our clothes off, and I think that was one of the pretty cool things that they do. So all of this was new to me, but any article of clothing that is stripped by a runner and is left on the road or the sidewalk, they pretty much scoop it up and they donate it to Goodwill. So I thought that was really,
Yeah,
really
that's pretty
cool.
badass.
So there was like clothes, there's hat, gloves, there's socks, there was all kinds of random stuff all over the road.
Carrie threw gloves at me.
She
I
did.
oh, get my other one, I just bought those.
I lost a glove at the finish line. I don't
did
know what.
you?
Yeah, when I was I did something to pull out of my pocket or something before I changed, and I looked down. I'm like, fuck. And Skyline just bought those for me,
Aw.
so I got to go buy new ones and pretend that they're the same ones.
It's like when the fish dies and you just replace
Yeah.
it. So yeah, it was, they had music blaring, there's people all over the place. It was cold when we first started, because we started like 7:00 whatever in
Yeah,
the
it was like
morning.
7:07 or something like that.
But there were so many people there that it was warm in a way, just because of the body heat. But the energy was high. So we start and it was a lot of dodging in and out of people. There were people up on the bridges watching us. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is insane. So
Yeah.
we're like going all around, and there's guys out like that one guy with the boombox or whatever that's like high-fiving people.
No, that dude was cool.
The yellow.
With the yellow
boombox.
plaid?
No,
Oh,
he
No,
had
he had the
boombox.
DeWalt boombox
Yeah,
on, and
okay,
he had a
yeah.
sign that said "fuck yeah" or something like that. And it
So
was
he
just
was
he
like
was
crazy,
having
and there's
fun.
people all over the road, like the law enforcement that helped out and stuff like that. So I was just taking it all in. And at one point, I remember I looked at Jay and I was like, "This is so cool! I feel like a celebrity right now." Like, because people were standing out there cheering you on with signs and screaming, and he was like, "Shut the fuck up! You're so weird." I'm like, "Okay." And I just running.
That was even before I was in a like
That was,
pissy
like, mile
mood.
one.
Yeah, I was still at that point. I'm like,
But that's pretty normal
Yeah.
for
We
us.
did
Yeah.
talk like at mile 2. We were talking about how we're like
some dude liked my butt. I remember
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so we went up, and
Oh,
there was
that
a
was so
guy
sad.
in front of us. I'm like, Lex, look at his butt. yeah, it's super muscular.
It
And she
was
was
nice,
like,
but-
yes. And then we ended up running right by him. And I acted like I was going to grab him. You were like, that is not discreet at all. I'm like, I don't care. So then we run in front of him, and the dude was like, hey, buddy, nice pants. I'm like, damn it, Lex, he wants the other team. Like, he doesn't even want us. So we keep running.
We said this all very loudly.
Yeah, like it wasn't.
Everybody had headphones in, but us.
Yeah.
So we kept running. I don't know what else we were like joking around about, but
That this,
oh,
we made
there
our
was-
last podcast. Not
There
very
was, yeah.
You're like, we need a podcast right now. I'm like, I'm pretty. No, you said it. I'm like, that would be the worst fucking podcast. You go, welcome to Ironman.
You were like, I'm just gonna turn this on because you and I were just being stupid in the
Yeah.
back. But then at one point, I was trying to. I was I was running behind Jay, and you were behind John, and I was like, you looked.
And you're
over
like, we need to switch or
we
some
need
shit
to switch.
like that.
You want to look at John's like calves or ass? I was like, yes. So we switched, and then this huge ass tall dude
He
in
was
yellow
like 6'7". He looked like a giant highlighter.
coming up and like jumping right in front of Lex and I and John, like right in between us. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm trying to look at John's butt. Like, get out of my way. So I go and I swoop up and I get in front of him. The dude boxes me out and gets right in front of him. I'm like, why is this guy fighting me for John's ass? Like, get out of my way. So yeah, I did hit a couple points though, where hit mile 3, I looked down and I was like, cool, we've already gone 3 miles. And you were like, really? I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. And then I was like, shit, we have 10 more to go. And that's where my negatives started creeping in. And I was like, 10 more, that's a long time. Can I do this for 10 more miles? So then I was like, all right, just keep going. So got myself back into taking the scenery, read the signs, do all of that kind of thing. Mile 5, I looked down because my watch like did a little vibration thing, and I was like 5 miles in. I'm not even halfway. Like, this is not going to happen. So I looked over at Jay and I was like,
Well, I was gonna say, me and you actually had some positive talks before you said that I was being an angry guy or whatever the fuck you were saying. And me and you kind of, even though we have very different ways of attacking stuff, we have very similar mindsets. It was like, I looked at you and you're like, is everything good? I'm like, I just need to pick up the pace a little bit so I can keep backing it down, and that 9-minute mile feels easy. So I would go like, all right, I'm gonna go up a little bit, back it down a little bit, and then I'd kind of feel more comfortable at that 9-minute mile. So one of those times she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm just picking it up because we slowed down. And then I'd back it back down. And then, but the funny thing is, I was like, in my head, I thought that I was going to talk to you guys and I was going to make clear like one of us has to maintain a pace and then 3 of us can kind of just lag behind. But I never actually fucking said it.
No, you didn't.
So I'm like,
I was like Jay's going.
I would like
gonna follow Jay.
drop back, and I would drop my pace back, and then everyone would fucking slow down, and I'm like, God damn it, now I gotta pick it up. And then it was like, everybody picked up with me, then I'd slow down, and everybody slowed down, and I was like,
the power of communication.
yes, we do have to learn the. But before we started, the funny thing is, John goes, see you guys at the finish line. I actually had AirPods on me. I'm like, I'm going to listen to fucking music. I'm going to listen to a podcast. I'm going to listen to whatever. And then it was like, no, that's not who the fuck we are. We're going to run together. And it was like the whole way,
yeah.
we were 4
We're
people
together.
within a fucking 30
Seconds.
second radius of each
Not even.
other.
I mean, when we were across all those points, it was just
It was a couple
within
seconds.
like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
But
So-
I mean, at that point, that's when at mile 5, I looked over at Jay and I was like, I'm done looking at my watch. I just need to take in the scenery.
Yeah,
And
and-
just not worry about it.
And that was the last person to go, I'm done. And I'm like, so I'm the only one paying attention on if we're on pace or not. I'm the only one that didn't give a fuck about breaking 2 hours before we showed up. And now I'm in charge of making sure we do. I mean, don't get me wrong, I cared about it, but I had kind of, when we stopped running as much, I'm like, the chances of us going and doing it with the way that we kind of train, I was like, it's, unless we go really fast at the beginning, because I knew just physiologically we were going to slow down.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you train 8 miles a week or 3 or 5 miles as your longest run, most people are going to slow down. So I'm like, maybe I'm wrong. I was, but mentally, it wasn't the physical. I overestimated how bad physically I would feel and underestimated how shitty mentally I would feel. Like physically, I was like, fuck, I feel amazing. But mentally, I was like, dude, this is a stupid idea. Like, you're not prepared for this. And that's what I kept going back to, is you're not prepared for this. So I'm paying attention to that, and I'm going up, back. Cool thing was, for most of it, like, me and Carrie would have a funny conversation, then I'd drop back, and I'd have a funny conversation with you or John. Well, you really weren't talking that much.
I was talking to you, and you were just staring straight ahead, like, shut up. Which is pretty normal.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that different.
Yeah. Not early on, I think you underestimate how much we were talking about. From miles 6 to 10, I was probably just looking at you like, Carrie, shut the fuck up. I don't care.
I think it was around the time that, after I told you or whenever I was done, and I was just going to keep taking it all in. So, but that's when those guys were going to jump into the bar. Remember?
Mm-hmm,
Oh,
yeah.
so I thought that was funny. And then I was reading some signs. I don't remember now what they were, but some of them were really funny. One of them was like, keep running, there's a cute butt ahead.
And I yelled.
Yes,
yelled,
because you said,
"It's
Jay,
mine."
there it is. And I'm like, I wish they would have told me where it was. I would have picked up the pace.
Keep running. I was like people watching. I was like, let's guy shop the crowd. So at one point we were doing that. We were doing all these stupid things. Like, there was a bunch of like 4 kids standing out there with their hands out. So I ran over to the side and like slapped all of them high fives. It was a weird learning to drink while running because
Yes.
they give you water. I don't think I took one until like mile 5-ish.
I don't think we hydrated enough personally. Like, the two of us that probably had the roughest time, I never even finished my full 26-ounce water bottle, and I forced it down her most of it. And I was like, and you were stopping at points, and I would just go, all right, this is good. But when I actually ate afterwards, and I drank like 6 glasses of water, I was like, all of a sudden I'm like, fuck, I feel
I felt
great.
so much better after I ate.
Like,
and had
because,
coffee.
and here's the weird thing for me, and here's how I know we didn't prepare properly physically. My quads were fine, my hand, like, nothing hurt except for my fucking hip bones.
Yeah,
I was
hip
like,
flexors
the
and,
fuck.
like, the bottom of my calves.
It's not even the hip flexors, it's the actual bone, like the joint. And I was like, just the repeated bouncing, I was like, my joint hurt so bad. Showed up, swam Monday, I felt fine. I was like walking around, nothing hurt. But I was like, man, I just mentally, I took this way too easy. In my mind, it was just a half marathon. And I didn't run like I was in 2013 when it was just when you're training for a full marathon, a half marathon is just a half marathon. Sunday, a half marathon was a motherfucker. Like, I was not prepared for a half marathon. So again, going back to the training's got to get back to where it's just a half marathon. And the training's going to change because the pacing isn't going to be where it is. Now it's going to be, what's my heart rate? How do I feel? What am I trying to eat? Because that's going to be almost, realistically, that's going to be 4.5 hours into, we're going to have 4.5 hours before we start the half marathon. So that's kind
So
of...
I learned that.
Yeah.
That I failed because you were like, oh, I'm going to pee a ton in this movie on Saturday. And I was like, somebody was like, well, why?
Oh my
and you were
God.
like, oh, I'm drinking a ton. And I was like, oh shit, I haven't been drinking anything yet today.
No, let's recircle
Okay,
back
so
here.
I
Lex,
had-
no, you stop for a second. I'm gonna do that to you for a change. 2 bangs. How many Diet Pepsis did she say she had?
Yeah, I did.
Saturday.
I was just gonna say
Yeah,
that.
like she's
I had
like,
2 bags.
I haven't had anything to drink.
No, not water. Nothing
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
How about that?
I'm like, who prepares for a half marathon
Well,
by
it's
drinking
not
2
hot out,
bangs?
I need
And...
liquid. So, yeah, I came into this really stupid. So I had no idea. Somebody really needs to just coach me in life, like how you're supposed to handle this.
But here's the thing, you wouldn't listen anyway.
So yeah,
Like-
I did pack water Saturday when Eric and the kids ran, but I left it somewhere. So I was like, all right, well, I got another bang in here. I'll just drink that too. So I had a coffee and like 2 bangs and like Diet Pop and whatever and Chipotle, and I was like, shit, Jay's drinking water. Maybe I should start drinking. So I started drinking some water. And then that morning, Lex, I was like, did you eat breakfast? And it was like 5 in the morning at my house. And she was like, yeah. And I'm like,
And then I
you
continued
did?
eating on the way up
She
there.
ate all the way up, and then we're there, and Jay's talking about breakfast, and I was like, you ate breakfast? And you're like, please tell me you fucking ate breakfast. And I was like, I ate coffee.
She pulls out a goo and she takes a goo and she's like, I ate, coach. And I'm like, God damn, you're so I'm like, I have to baby you through
She's
everything.
like, you were going
Jason.
to do a half marathon, and you didn't eat? I was like, no.
Yeah. For the record, according to my Whoop, I burned, I think it was 2,400 calories on the half marathon, and she didn't eat at all.
Yeah.
leading up to.
1600.
And you had the
So-
goo and the one block I gave you,
So he gave me that 2 block.
which was
I
like
had
40,
food
which was
at-
like 40 calories.
I was okay.
We went to IHOP and she, I've never seen her eat
We'll
that
get
much
there
food.
too. So I have a mouth the size of a freaking chipmunk. So he gives me this block that's the size of California.
It's like this fucking big, bro.
I-
It's a
it
cliff
took-
block. They're
it
not
took me
big.
a whole mile to eat this thing. So I was telling him earlier when he pulled out this stupid packet to give out more, I was like, "Don't look at him! Don't look at him! Do not make eye contact. He won't offer you one. Like it's fucking drugs or something." So he dropped back and he like hands them out to like.
It was
you
just
and John
Lex.
or
It was
something.
just
And I
Lex.
was like,
And I threw
Oh
the
my
other
God.
half of it. 'cause
I was
couldn't
choking. Like I was trying to eat this stupid thing and breathe and like swallow like my own spit and shit like that. I was like, oh my god, this is terrible. Okay, I gotta learn how to do that. But since then, I have gotten a nutritionist to help me with how to prepare for an Ironman because I obviously don't know how to eat or drink properly.
Yes.
Drink
So, yeah. So my finish of that race, I don't know. I felt once I just stayed in with like the scenery and picking up that hill.
Mm-hmm.
We come up to that last hill and I was like, okay, here we go. So it was just keep on going. And then at one point, it was John and I. Well, at one point right before that, it was you. You 3 were behind me, and I just went. And you were like, okay, Carrie, just take off. And I was like, I feel it. I'm just gonna go. And I was calling. It was right around 9, and I was like, shit. I'm at that 9-mile mark. I have 4 to go. I need somebody. And I was like, Jay, John. I'm like, somebody come up here. And
wasn't
finally-
gonna be me.
I think I came up for like a brief second. I was like, I'm not staying at this pace.
So then John came up and we were talking a little bit, and that's where there's 2 people in front of us, and they were like, "Oh, it's only a 5K left," and I was like, "Sweet, it's only a 5K." And so then we were running whatever, and then at the end we had like a mile to go, and I looked at John and I was like, "I just want to cross this finish line with you," and he was like, "Well then let's go." I'm like, "Okay," and I was like, "My legs hate me right now, like my heel hurts," and he goes, "I don't care." He goes, "What would Joe P tell you?" I said, "How bad do you want it?" He goes, "Yeah, and I expect you to pick up your pace. Now let's go." And I was like, "Okay." He goes, "When we get into this, I expect you to sprint. Nothing left in your tank." I'm like, "Fine." So we cross over that like bridge and we're turning in. He was like, "Go!" And I was like, so I started sprinting. And then afterwards, he was like, "Man, you beat me by blah, blah, blah." I'm like, "You told me to run fast." So I did.
I just ran.
I think what
But there was that guy, the guy with the yellow boombox. Do you remember when we were this stupid Snickers and donut part? I think, and he reappeared, and I was like, "That is the Joe P of the race." 'Cause that guy
yeah.
came back around.
Yeah.
He was like, "Yeah," and
he
he's
was,
high-fiving
he was
people.
everywhere.
Yeah.
I think
it was
the
like he was there. That was my Joe P.
Yeah.
Like seeing that excitement right there.
I think the other cool thing for me was we all just described our experience, right? 10 seconds after crossing the finish line, we're all breathing 100% normal.
Oh,
we're
yeah.
high-fiving, we're walking, we're talking like normal, and it's like, wow, that's how quick. Like,
We're
I
fit people
I
a
saw
little
some
bit.
I saw some people that were in a lot of fucking pain
Yeah.
after they finished, and we're like, okay, I'm gonna go smash some food.
But
Like,
that's how for me, I think when I was running, it was kind of like how we do the workouts here. Because you'll do a 6-minute workout and then like a 4-minute break and then a 6 minutes. So it's
Yep.
like this, you
Yep.
know, in that quick recovery. But when we were out running, like I would pick up my pace and then I would calm it back down a little bit. So it was almost like doing the interval training here, but I did it within the run.
That's actually
Yeah.
what I told him.
yeah.
Really?
He
Yeah.
said the exact same thing. He goes,
I was like,
he's
it's
like,
a Saturday.
a Saturday workout, we do a 12-minute workout, 4-minute rest, 12-minute workout. He goes, I just looked at it like
I
that.
would get a
Only my
burst of
4-minute
energy,
rest
and
was.
I would just go with it.
Yeah.
But I knew if I backed it down too much, I wasn't going to get it back. So if I felt that burst and I was like in it, I would go. I told her at one point when I was up by myself, I was like, I just started singing Cardi B. And I just kept singing it over and over in my head, and I just went with it. But
We listened to a lot.
I think like as I listened to you guys and then as I was going through my own stuff too, and I was trying to like relate to what you guys were saying. I think that whether you're doing like the physical portion of what you guys are doing or whether it's through your day, like it's breaking through the mental barriers, and then once you break through the obstacle that's like in your head. So like for her, when she was having like her panic attacks and you helped her through it, then boom, she's back to normal, right? And then she's just like, all right, I'm good to go. But you have those barriers, those up and downs throughout the day. as literally like what you guys described as barrier, boom, breakthrough. Now you're back to normal barrier,
like
boom,
our
breakthrough.
interval.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's understanding that one of the things that helped me through it was no one can stop time, right? Like Josh Bridges always talks about when he went through buds and things like that, no one can stop time. And I sat there and I thought to myself, it's 2 hours, no one can stop that time. It's just whether or not I choose to keep moving. At 2 hours and 5 minutes, I'm gonna feel fucking fine. It's just, did I quit and am I happy or am I pissed off that I didn't do it? So it was no one can stop time, and that nothing, this too shall pass. Nothing is going to stop me from moving. And I was super proud of everybody that we finished the way we did, for being a bunch of non-runners. Flashing back 2013 when I ran a marathon and I was a quote-unquote runner, I was about 40 pounds lighter than I am right now, and I was not the same mental and physical person. So it was just a cool flashback reminder for me as I get ready for Ironman and some of these other things that fucking nothing, if this head stays the way it is, there's fucking nothing that is going to stop me from finishing my goals.
And that's
Yeah,
what
actually.
We have the physical ability to do it. And a lot of it is the mental. Like, and that's what I did like a video blog on it, but it's when I was thinking about the end result, getting to that 13 miles, that's where I would freak out and the time would drag, my pace slowed down, it was all the negativity. But when I sat there and did the ones, it was like one step at a time, taking in the moment, taking in where I'm at, be in that moment, don't worry about anything coming up. That's where I picked it up and I had fun with it and it went faster and I was like, holy shit, I just went another 2 miles because I'm enjoying it.
Yep.
You know?
Like what Lex was saying was when she was talking about her plus one, I actually muttered something to myself too, and then when you did your Facebook the next day, it kind of reminded me of that as well. I told myself, I was like, I can, therefore I must, and I actually muttered that to myself as I was taking my steps.
Yep.
And it was just, again, just breaking
Yeah,
through.
just it's all about that positivity. I think that is a great ending point for the day because we're well past what I had allotted for today. Does anybody have to plug anything?
You go to No Surrender here. You use the hashtag Miley15, MAYLE15. You can get 15% off all of your gear.
And guy shorts now.
We do have guy shorts now, or they have guy shorts now. One other thing, our Hayes Presidential Center, May 11th. We're sponsoring a kids obstacle course, August 17th. Joe P. competition, fundraiser, some other stuff. And always don't forget, I can't doesn't exist. Boom.